What would you do if you woke up in the middle of the night and there was this floating child Jesus with a baby Jesus with a man's head going, "Hey! Hey! Hey! Wake up! Believe in me or you'll go to hell!" So anyway, it's been a long month. I haven't seen you guys for quite a while. Anyways, I didn't want you to think I forgot about you, so I hope you had a good Christmas. I had some friends in out of town. Things got busy. I have to get a new refrigerator. I have to go to the dentist. Things like that. Anyways, we were at the antique store. This was like the day after Christmas. We're walking around, and I see this picture of like the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus, and I'm like, what the? And I do a double take because the baby that she's holding in her arms has like a man's head. So I took a picture of it. It looked like this. So anyways, I get home and I forget about it, and after my guests leave, I go and I look it up. And apparently, this was like a popular thing back in medieval times, like from about the 12th century to the 1500s or something like that. In Europe, of course. And there's a whole bunch of pictures like this where they show the baby Jesus with an adult's head on it, sometimes with a receding hairline. It looks like Phil Collins. There was even an article about that when I was looking it up. Here are some of the other pictures that I found. But naturally, when you see this picture, it's like the first four W's come into your head. Who, when, where, why, you know? So it turns out the reason that the artist drew Jesus in this fashion was to try to take your imagination away from the cute little baby in the crib or whatever, or in the manger. Okay? And to focus on Jesus' divinity, because he was God from the time he was born. All right? The day he was born, he was all-knowing and all godlike and everything, right? Now, this kind of weird-ass idolatry exists even in modern times with things like the Child of Prague. It's like an Irish wedding tradition. It's like a Catholic thing, I guess, where they depict Jesus in clothes that he never wore with a little king's thing on his head and all this kind of stuff. It's a crown. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, if you bury this stupid little statue in your garden before your wedding, you'll be blessed with glorious sunshine on your wedding day. How pagan idolatry is that? I ask you. Then there's the other one that I found. It's like Saint Anthony of Paducah. He was visiting some dude and he saw a bright light under his door and he opened it up and it was the baby Jesus all sparkling and more beautiful than he ever looked before. It says, "A guy saw the saint with a child of rare beauty." See, Jesus must be beautiful, right? Nobody's going to worship an ugly God. Nobody's going to pray to an ugly God, right? So that's why pagans make their gods beautiful. And of course, the man that saw the saint embracing this little beautiful, rare child of beauty or whatever, he based on the conversation they were having, and of course from the superhuman beauty, well, he knew right away it had to be Jesus. Who else is it going to be, right? Come on. Now, when I was a kid growing up and then later in my adult years, I was a little bit confused about all of this because I remembered the Ten Commandments where it says you shall not make idols and stuff, and then later you shall not make statues or idols of men, women, fish, birds, whatever. Golden calves, anything you can think of, just don't make an image of it. But they do it anyways, of course. So how do Christians get around this? Well, you have to redefine what idolatry is. If you look up idolatry, you're going to get a million Christian websites that are going to say, no, forget about the Ten Commandments and what it says in the Torah. Idolatry is things like, to Christians, it's Well, being prideful, self-centered, and greedy, and loving the things that you worked hard for. Kind of sounds like a bunch of communist socialism garbage to me, doesn't it? Isn't Christianity really the religion of slavery? And, the Southern Baptist Convention was founded based on their belief in slavery versus the other ones that, maybe it's not such a good thing after all. And I was going to make this a separate video, but I'm just going to kind of slap this on here real quick. The only narrative we have of Jesus in his childhood is in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2 here. They go to Jerusalem for the Feast of the Passover. He was 12 years old. And when they were leaving home, Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. And his parents didn't even know about it. They thought he was there with them somewhere in the crowd or something for about a day before they're like, hey, where's Jesus? I don't know. I ain't seen him. You haven't seen him? I don't know. So they go back to Jerusalem, and after 3 days, they find the little God, the little 12-year-old God here, preaching and answering questions in the temple. And, of course, everybody was amazed and astounded. And his parents were astonished. Child, why have you done this to us? Jesus would have been like, Mother, you watch your tone with me. Well, your father and I have been anxiously searching for you. Hey, I'm Jesus, and I'll go wherever I want. Do you understand? Why are you looking for me anyways? They didn't understand what he was talking about. Nobody ever understands anything that Jesus says until, about 50 years later in a foreign country, in a foreign language by an anonymous author. Come on. It says he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. All nonsense. So anyway, if you're an atheist, I hope you got a kick out of this. If you're a Christian, I hope you'll leave behind your pagan idolatry and consider the existence of God. Otherwise, have a nice day.